We need to talk about this Andrade WWE AEW contract breach because the situation is crazy. You may have noticed that Andrade has yet again disappeared from TV. It was confirmed that he was signed to AEW, but WWE have issued a cease and desist letter to AEW because Andrade broke his 90-day non-compete clause. It seems the holdup with Andrade right now is reportedly due to new TKO contracts that have a clause where if you are fired for cause or breach, then there is a 1-year non-compete clause. The older contracts were said to have this, but now it is standard. As Andrade began making appearances after his release from WWE, the company clarified to him that even though he wasn't going to get the traditional 90-day pay following his release, he was still subject to the 90-day period where he cannot perform anywhere else. This all basically meaning that Andrade could be kept out of the ring for up to 1 year by WWE, but this would be subject to whether or not that stipulation in his WWE deal could be challenged from a legal perspective. But in other news, WWE is finally doing it. Sources indicate that Def Rebel are currently on their final contract with WWE, but no timetable has been given regarding when the contract expires. Another source indicated that the company is also expected to do some work with outside artists when it comes to music in the future, as they have recently with the likes of Mega Ran, Adam Jones, and Incendiary. Talent have been frustrated with not having as much of an input on their theme songs, and it seems WWE may finally be listening to that frustration. And after that many stinkers in a row, I can only hope that this means the end is nigh for Def Rebel for good. As of late, we've been seeing superstars like the Street Profits, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Kairi Sane all go back to their old theme songs. The question is, who's next and why is it Gargano and Ciampa? Rebel Heart, No One Will Survive, and the DIY theme song, I Need Them All Back as Soon as Possible. Which is a possibility considering they used those themes recently when they went back to NXT. Then, we have an update on where Seth Rollins was scheduled to be going if he wasn't injured. Seth Rollins was tentatively scheduled to wrestle Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. The Wrestling Observer Radio went on to say, quote, "I don't know this, but I have been told enough things to where I expected there to be a turn on Seth Rollins at some point." The whole thing with this faction was not about Seth Rollins, it was about Bron Breakker and making Bron Breakker the next Roman Reigns. Which I think it's fairly clear that they were positioning Bron Breakker to be Roman Reigns-esque. I mean, they've been calling him the new big dog for months. But, you know, thanks for that glimmering report, Dave I don't know Meltzer. Additionally, it should be noted that there are some within WWE who are taking a wait-and-see stance on Seth Rollins' injury, after he worked everyone about his knee issues over the summer. Others who believe the injury is legit noted that the turns wouldn't have happened this quickly if it were not real in the Vision's run, considering the potential money-making matches with CM Punk and Roman Reigns are now off the table because of this timing. There are some within WWE who believe Seth Rollins is heading for a shoulder or rotator cuff surgery currently. I'll be honest, I think we had more than enough Vision Punk Vision Reigns interactions. I think the only other money-making match that they missed out on would have been Ilya Dragunov trying to overcome the Vision when he came back. It could have been a Rocky-type underdog story and he would have had some incredible matches with all of them. And yes, even Becky Lynch, because she's the greatest female wrestler of all time, and it's not just me. Speaking of Becky, she did respond to the Vision's implosion by saying, "I'm gone for 1 week." Then, we have a worrying update about Ridge Holland's WWE departure. Ridge's WWE release while injured has caused, quote, "significant concern for the roster," and has left multiple names, quote, "universally disappointed that he is not being paid while injured." One veteran talent in WWE feels it would have never happened pre-pandemic. Sources say that Ridge Holland was not paid beyond his WWE deal for the TNA bookings that led to his injury. Holland is now without guaranteed pay while he heals up for the next 6 months. Which, I know I joked the other day about the Big E injury and I'm not a big Ridge Holland fan, but let me get serious for a second and say this situation is fucked. You do have to feel bad for him, and I would imagine a lawsuit is coming one way or another. It's surprising that WWE even released him while hurt, considering a lot of the time companies add on contract time when the person is injured. It was also reported that Ridge signed a 1-year extension with WWE in November 2024 that was about $200,000 less than what he was previously making, which adds on to the previous report about him no longer making main roster money when he went back down to NXT. Then, Dominik Mysterio was asked about the possibility of John Cena chasing the IC title with one of his 4 remaining dates.
There's one that he is missing to become a Grand Slam champion. What are your thoughts on the possibility of John Cena coming after your Intercontinental Championship?
I mean, at the end of the day, I'm here. If John Cena wants some, he can come get some. He's got 4 dates left, you said? I mean, if that old geezer wants me to put a final nail in his coffin, I'll be more than happy to, you know? That's what I'm here for. I'm here to be and stay your dirty double champ. So
I surely want to believe he has to be winning the IC title at Survivor Series, but it's a shame it's now so obvious. Like, the second that match is announced, it'll be like, well, yeah, I sure hope he's winning it finally. If it were way earlier in the retirement tour, then it would have been more exciting, but regardless, I just want to see it happen. And that's no slight on Dirty Dom, by the way, who's been having one hell of a second half of his reign, in my opinion. But speaking of John Cena, almost 60,000 people were queuing up the other day for a ticket to his final match. And then, you know, I assume most of those people saw those prices and they were like, there's got to be another way to watch wrestling. Then, Samoa Joe appeared on the Shaq Wrestling podcast where he revealed he will most likely retire after his current contract with AEW expires.
I'd say most likely. And, you know, and honestly, I think it's for a lot of reasons, and I think most of them are responsible. So, you know, obviously, you know, you never want to outstay your welcome in this industry. And I have been fortunate that I've been able to be involved with it for over 25 years now. And, you know, and the other thing too is, you know, I think many of us want to preserve what we can of our health for our latter years. So it is something that is probably the most likely scenario, but hey, it is an unusual world and unusual opportunities come up. So we'll see.
Absolute legend of the game, Samoa Joe. He's had a truly remarkable career, even if I do really wish there was a WWE title reign in there somewhere. I still am of the opinion that he should have beaten Brock Lesnar at Great Balls of Fire, because goodness gracious, how did that not happen? Joe also spoke about Styles versus Cena from Crown Jewel.
It's incredibly cool. You know, both those men are people that I have unyielding respect for, and I'm so happy to see that they have enjoyed the successes that they both have in their life. And hey, it was wonderful to be thought of in their big moment. You know, I think AJ is one of a few wrestlers who kind of changed the face of wrestling. And, you know, much like John, I mean, both had fantastic careers. And I'm always happy to see people enter that phase in their life in a healthy manner and have, you know, great future prospects of other things on the horizon.
You love to hear it from Joe, and it's been great to see so many people talking positively about the legend he is recently. Tony Schiavone, for example, saying he's constantly one of the most professional individuals in AEW. And in this interview, he also talks about when he retires, he doesn't want a huge going out party. For me, I can appreciate the humility, but a legend like Joe deserves a Hall of Fame induction, period. Then, Iyo Sky was on Insight with Chris Van Vliet this week in a super entertaining interview. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it already. She says her WrestleMania 41 win meant so much to her given how Japanese talent rarely wins at WrestleMania.
So much mean to me, of course. Also so much mean to Japanese people as well, because long time Japanese wrestler didn't win at WrestleMania. Even for women's Japanese wrestler, first time ever in WWE to win in WrestleMania. So I'm so honored, and even kind of I'm unexpected. I am walk in as a champion and walk off as a champion.
Still to this day, one of my favorite matches of 2025. It was so great seeing her have that moment. Hell, it's been great the way she's been treated so well on main roster. There was a time when I wasn't so sure, as she references here, how she would be treated given the botched treatment of other Japanese stars like Nakamura or Asuka. Iyo also reveals she still gets nervous cutting promos on TV.
Oh yeah.
In English.
Yeah, promo is so much makes me nervous. Even only short line makes me so nervous, because even backstage promo, everything, because we are on TV the behind the screen, behind the camera has a lot of children. So that's why I'm always like careful about speak proper English. Like now, I'm pretty relaxed to speak English. Sometimes even broken English, you will understand. But on camera, I have to memorize proper English.
For me, I think this year, the mix between letting people like Stephanie Vaquer and Iyo Sky and Asuka speak their native language and also mixing in English in there has worked pretty well. Then, we may just have another hint at Chris Jericho's WWE return. The first wave of talent and guests for Chris Jericho's Rock and Wrestling Rager at Sea has been announced. And as you may have noticed, no AEW talent has been listed for that event next November. Furthermore, on the AEW front, it seems there were plans that didn't come to fruition about an AEW training center in North Carolina. It would have seen Beth Phoenix, Edge, and FTR helping train talent, which I saw some people reacting negatively to, but I think that would have been great. Even if it fell through now, I'd surely assume that an AEW performance center would be a step they'd take eventually, but people were basically saying if trained by those four, they'll just be like WWE superstars. First of all, if you think those four don't know how to train on a grander scale and make stars fit for AEW, you're insane. And second of all, I think there are qualities that WWE guys have that AEW guys could learn and vice versa as well. Then, Kota Ibushi is out with a femur injury, but it gets even worse. Ibushi says it will take him 1 year to fully recover from his injury and 2 years until he can get back into the ring. He went on to say, quote, "I believe in myself more than the doctors. I absolutely don't believe in that. I know I have amazing DNA that gives me the ability to heal." Just absolutely heartbreaking stuff, man. Like, I read this and I was like, 2 years? Like, 2? All the best to Kota Ibushi, and I hope he defies the doctor's predictions because 2 years is mental. Booker T believes WWE developmental talent have somewhere around 2 to 2.5 years to make an impression.
As far as this developmental system, I would implore guys to think that that they got perhaps 2.5 years at that. You know what I mean? So you better be motivated to try to figure out what this thing is all about. But I want to let these guys know that the clock is ticking, and they're watching to see if you are one of the guys perhaps that could make it on the main roster and make it to SummerSlam and WrestleMania and all the big events. That's what this developmental program is, and I think that's what the developmental program actually should be.
Which I think it's safe to say is quite a misguided take, because I would argue Cora Jade had made an impression and yet she was let go, whereas you look at someone like Nikita Lyons who has been there forever and the only impression she's made is on her glass knees. So I just don't understand how the system works down there. Same goes for Wes Lee. I would argue he made enough of an impression just as North American champion alone to have a chance on main roster, but he was fired. Then you have Tony D'Angelo, who is approaching 5 years in NXT, and I couldn't tell you what they're doing with him. But generally speaking, NXT continues to shine, and I've got to say, I love Shawn Michaels always getting involved in these backstage TikToks and everything. It's hilarious.
Why aren't you in uniform? It's about time you got here!
Sean's all like, well, I'm more of a Fairly Odd Parents kind of guy, but what the hell, sure. Anyway, I'm almost at 200k, so subscribe and tell a friend about this channel. Bye!